Hi, this is Bruce Innes, and you are listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on 3SER Casey Radio.
I ain't got change for a nickel. Ain't got no bounce in my shoes.
Just going back, was music always going to be a career path for you? Was there any other option at any point?
No, there wasn't, John. My father was a musician and encouraged me 100% all the time I was in school.
I believe back in the very early days you played alongside of the legendary Josh White. What do you recall of that period now, and some of the things you learnt from Josh?
Well, it was most interesting, mostly because I was so young and he was so accomplished. He was a fine acoustic guitarist, but he had psoriasis in his fingers, and so, you know, at the end of an evening, if he was playing, his guitar would be all covered with blood. Well, that was not good in small situations, so that's how he heard me and said, if you'll play behind me, you know, we can do some dates across the country. So that was sort of interesting. And what I learned from him was a little bit about the blues and a whole lot about life, I guess.
I believe one of your early claims to fame was writing songs for a baseball star.
Yes, I wrote songs for Maury Wills and performed with him. We actually traveled through the Orient and across the United States. He had just stolen 104 bases and broken Ty Cobb's base-stealing records for the Dodgers.
Tell us about the formation of the original Caste, and if you had any initial plans for the sound that you're trying to achieve with it.
Well, originally it was a folk group. I started it in Calgary, Alberta, with two guys, Graham Bruce and Bliss Mackey, and sort of just sang as a trio for a while. And then Bliss knew this girl named Dixie Lee Stone at the time, who he said was a great singer, and introduced me to her. And when I heard her sing, I thought, oh my goodness, this is really quite exceptional. So I wrote vocal charts. I loved writing vocal arrangements, and so we sort of, the sound we had was 3 and 4 part harmony.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't use a drummer when we first started. We were just strictly a folk group.
You're associated with the production and songwriting team of Dennis Lambert and Brian Potter. How did you find them to work with, and how important now do you rate their role in the band's success?
Well, you know, I was originally with Dot Records in Los Angeles, and then signed with Capitol, and Capitol didn't release anything of mine for quite a while, and so my manager hired this attorney called Jay Cooper and got me out of the contract, and then we signed with Bell, and at that time I had the group and met Dennis and Brian, and they were immensely talented. Dennis Lambert to this day lives in Florida, and I still stay in touch with him. He was an excellent songwriter.
Did they set high standards in their production values? Was that a high priority for them?
Yeah, it was. They were very, you know, they were into lots of instruments, of course, much more orchestrated than I necessarily would have thought of doing. But I mean, very, very, very good. Dennis Lambert was an excellent producer.
Now, I guess an interview with you has never passed by without somebody bringing up One Tin Soldier, so I guess we'll have to do that too.
Well, that's fine.
Did the song sound like a hit to you when you first heard it?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it really did, yeah. And although it was very, very messagey, you know, I mean, but you must remember that it was written in, I think, October of '69, and we cut it in I think, November, and really it never got any airplay until after the first of the year in 1970, maybe in February. That's when it started.
So it was a bit of a creeper. It took a while.
Well, it was really a creeper. I mean, it took a long time. Finally, WLS in Chicago started playing it, and that's when it sort of took off.
I believe the reaction to the song wasn't positive across the board. It was actually banned on some radio stations.
Oh yes, no, it was very, it was some very positive in some areas and very negative in some areas. even in our home country, Canada, the big radio station in Toronto, Chum, wouldn't play it.
Well, did that surprise you at all? The radio reaction like that?
Yeah, it did surprise us. Yeah, it was shocking the amount of emotion that was involved from both sides of the coin. You know.
Was there any particular reason why your version of the song wasn't used in the Billy Jack movie?
Yeah, there was. Actually, I was friends with Tom Laughlin, and he wanted to use it, but he went to our management. We were with William Morris and a fellow by the name of John Powell, and said that he really wanted to put us in the movie, but he wanted a 90% of the group, control of the group, and of course they wouldn't go for that. So then he just sort of got a pickup group together from, I think, Indianapolis, Coven, and used that record. Got Tommy Mottola to produce it, and you know, it was the same, very similar to the same arrangement. It's just that I didn't think the girl singer, God bless her, was near as good.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
When you moved the band across to Los Angeles in the late 60s, was there a game plan as such, an idea of what you would do to make your impression?
Well, John, the main reason we went down there was at the time there was really no music business in Canada. There was only 4 or 5 or 6 places to play across the country, and so most of us in that situation just kind of headed towards Los Angeles, as did Neil Young, Joni Mitchell. I mean, there wasn't any place to work up there, so primarily we went down there because we were trying to get work. we thought we were pretty good, and that we may have been fooling ourselves a little bit. But anyways, that's why we went down there.
Looking back over your career, have you ever pondered how your career may have panned out had you never left Canada?
Yeah, I have thought about that, and I think, had I not left Canada and was patient, I think I could have been, could have been very integral in the Canadian music scene, which is really quite successful now because of the Canadian content laws, But hindsight's 20/20. I've certainly had a happy time performing, both up there and down here.
Yeah, sure. So there's no regrets.
No, I don't.
No. Japan was always a good market for the band. Do you have a theory on why that was the case?
I have no idea, John. I that's one of the great mysteries of my life. I mean, we had huge hits over there, and we would go over. I remember singing at the Budokan Hall for 28,000 people at the first Sony music festival over there, and honest to God, they couldn't understand a word we said. We had a very famous Japanese guy named oh God, I can't remember. He was a famous disc jockey, and he would come out and explain the first 3 songs, and then we'd sing 3 songs, and he'd come out and explain 3 more, and it was amazing. And we went over there several times, and it was always pleasant, and but we were very puzzled by the whole thing.
And it still continues to this day, doesn't it? There's still quite a follow-up. Yeah. Dennis
and I just re-released the CD over there a couple of years ago, actually.
Now, during the 70s, the band took a more country-flavoured direction. Was there a real need for you to get back to some country roots there?
Oh, I don't know what we were thinking about. I'm basically a folk singer, and so I guess that was the closest to folk music by this time had disappeared from the face of the planet. So I guess that was the closest thing I could do to come to it.
Your songs have been covered by many artists over the years. Do you have a particular favourite cover of one of your songs?
Well, I'm a big fan of Ray Stevens, and I've written some songs that he's recorded, and I always thought did a great job. He's a really good singer and a good keyboard player, but had a reputation for recording goofy songs,
novelty songs. Yeah. Not only have you had your songs covered by many artists, but a diverse range of artists too, which says a lot for the scope of your songwriting. How important has it been for you to be adaptable to many different styles?
It's very important. I mean, I love to, if you sit down to write, if you're in this little box, it isn't that much fun. It's much more fun to try to write, a good melody and something that's, musically interesting, whether it's folk or blues or whatever it is, And so that's been a great joy for me to be able to do that.
I believe you also wrote one for the actor Leslie Nielsen.
No, I was actually friends with Leslie. He actually did my. I had a television show for a while in Canada, and he came up and guested on it a couple of times, and he was hilarious, actually.
Now, another area you've been involved with is advertising jingles. How does that rate as a challenge compared to general songwriting?
Oh, it's a lot easier, and because they're only 60 seconds long or 30 seconds long, and I really did it for a long time just to make sure that my kids got an education and got through college, and I'm not complaining about it. I worked very hard at it and was able to write some good national stuff, but certainly don't do it anymore because I don't have to.
One area you've involved yourself in is production work too in recent times. How much of an advantage is it going into the field of production, having been a recording artist yourself?
It's an advantage. I mean, I think it is, because you sort of think. I have always tried in producing other artists to look at things from their standpoint of view rather than say, no, this is the way it's going to be, because especially when I was really young and recorded in Los Angeles, I pretty much followed instructions to the letter, and sometimes that doesn't bring out the very best in an artist. I think an artist should have a good bit of say in what they're doing in the studio.
And through production, you're in touch with younger artists coming through the system these days. From your observations, are the hopes and dreams and aspirations of young artists today the same as you and your contemporaries back in the day?
Yeah, I think they're the same, but it's harder. It's a lot harder because, in those days, back in the day, if you signed with one of the 4 or 5 or 6 large record companies, you really at least had a way to go. Now there are very few record companies left, and so our artists are putting out their own music, and that's good in one way, except in another way they don't have the promotion and marketing departments behind them. So it's sort of a double-edged sword, I guess.
You're playing a bit in a blues vein these days. I was watching some YouTube videos of you last night. Your love of blues, I guess that goes back to the Josh White days? Yeah,
it sure does. You bet. And I got to go to Chicago and see some of the great players, and from Howlin' Wolf to Big Bill Brunsey, and I love it. It's really fun. I love to play acoustic guitar and sing blues. It's really fun.
Is that where you see your future now, going deeper and deeper into that area? I have a blues CD out called Nothing But the Blues, but I don't know if I'm going deeper and deeper into it, but it certainly is a good part of my show whenever I show up in person. And same with the original cast. I mean, when we do a show, yes, we sing One Tin Soldier and Mr. Money, but we do sing a good amount of blues-based material as well. So tell us about the current lineup of the original cast and the background of the people involved there.
Well, the current lineup is myself, Gary Carlson, who is a fine bass player and has, first joined the original cast in '71. Replaced Graham Bruce, and then we have a guitar player, a singer named Julie Kerr, who also plays keyboards, who's just excellent. And we first met in the late '70s, and then our current lead singer is a girl from Nashville named Jilla Webb, excellent singer. Her mother was Jilla Webb, the lead singer for the Harry James Orchestra, so she's very, very good.
Now, you mentioned in performance you're doing the songs that people expect to hear, but you're also incorporating other material as well, so you're very mindful of not just going out there as a nostalgia act? No, we're very mindful of that. We sing a fair amount of my original materials, lots of it new, and we do lots of blues stuff too. So we're trying very hard not to be a total blast from the past, although people expect to hear those 2 songs. Of course, sure. Yeah.
Sounds like a lovely part of the world where you're from there at Sun Valley. Do you think since you've been there, the environment around you has inspired your songwriting and your music?
Yeah, I think it has. It's a very beautiful place. It really is. It's very similar to where I grew up in Western Canada, and I still get back to Alberta, where I'm from, quite a bit. And but it is a beautiful place. There's no question about it.
And what's the extent of your touring these days? How much of the year do you spend on the road?
Well, I was, definitely in the spring and the fall. I was in this fall. I was in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, and really had some fun down there. And just did some concerts by myself, and then been doing original Caste concerts in Western Canada, in Alberta principally, and have some coming up this spring. So that's really fun.
Fantastic. Before I let you go, Bruce, you mentioned there's a recent blues recording of your own. Is there any chance of a band recording coming up?
Yes, there is, John. We have. After this, if you just quickly give me your address or email me your address, I'll send you an original Caste CD today, and we have a new one scheduled for the summer. Plus, I have a CD of my own songs coming out this spring called Way Out West. So I'll send you those.
Fantastic! I'll email you my address. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great. And the only other question I have for you, sir, before you let me go, is I have some dear friends that live in Sydney, and if this is going to be, if you have a date for this, I'd sure like to know what it is. Absolutely.
I'm actually in the process of scheduling programs for the next few months. So once I've got a definite date, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Oh, that's super, John. I
That'd
appreciate
be great.
it.
Tremendous. Thanks for your time, Bruce.
John, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. It was really nice talking to you, and I look forward to staying in touch with you by email.
Been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
All
Thanks,
the best.
John.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.